Ah, Facebook is acting all fucking weird. I gotta go back and redo this here. Hang on here. Damn it all.
Damn, I don't log into Facebook for one day and I get 80 notifications. Fuck.
I know, right? Well, this is we're live. Okay, maybe we are live. All right.
Woo.
There we go. All right. Okay. Hey, what's going on? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome to this episode of the Note Closure Show. I am honored to have a couple cool guys on here today that are going to share some nuggets. It's a podcast that I've been binging a lot on lately, and these guys just celebrated a special anniversary. We'll get to that in a second here. But you're going to want to take some notes. You're going to want to listen in because these guys are just absolutely killing it with some of the things they're doing, and the things that they're doing, you can apply to your note. You can apply to your real estate business. You can apply to any business out there. And that's what's so great is these guys are truly, they're just devouring other people's successes, other people's tips, and bringing it in, implementing themselves, and they're also sharing it to the audiences out there as well. So we've got Joe Fier and Matt Wolfe are the co-founders of Evergreen Profits and the Hustle and Flowchart podcast. They absolutely love showing how simple it really is to get online in competitive industries. They get pumped up to share their system of driving targeted traffic that turns into leads and sales for business owners who want to scale, but have failed in the past. They aren't an agency. They're pretty much an anti-agency out there as well. So Joe and Matt started a business together 12 years ago and haven't stopped learning, testing, and scaling since. They educate on paid traffic, content marketing, SEO, and branding, omnipresence as well. They're also super affiliates, generating over 7 figures per year in affiliate revenue. So, hey, what is up, guys? So excited to have you on today on the Note Closure Show.
Thanks, Scott. This is going to be a fun time. You got a cool.
We officially have a limit of an hour on it. I got to make it a hard stop at an hour there for you.
All right, that's fine.
You guys are out of San Diego out there. You're out there on the not the non-burn side.
It's crazy, man. It's windy though, so yeah.
No, it's definitely hot, dry, and windy, so we have the right conditions at the moment.
It's a little scary. We've been through that before, and it ain't fun.
Right. Yeah. So 12 years, man. That's awesome. That's a really great partnership. And what's great is you guys are each other's kind of yin to yang. You want to talk a little about that?
Yeah. I'll start it off. And Matt and I started back in his parents' shutter company. They owned window shutters, interior stuff, and Matt basically was running the show there with his parents, and I kind of was just running phones and stuff. But on the off time, we started blogging, we started making some money with ads, and it kind of went from there. But our personalities they're different, but we share the common goal where we're headed. So it's an interesting partnership where, I'm more of that's like our show, Hustle and Flowchart. So I'm more of the hustle. He's more of the flowchart. Analytical, where it's the hustle and grind, so it's a cool little mash when you have a shared goal.
Yeah, and I mean, Joe tends to be more the extroverted networker, get out there and chat with people, bring on new connections, find new people for the podcast, get us on other people's podcasts, things like that. Where I tend to be more the like heads down, leave me alone. I'm going to build some Facebook ads. Don't talk to me for 2 days. Like I'm like a techie, like I just want to build shit. Can I say that?
Yeah, you can, man. You totally can.
I don't know how censored this podcast is. Ours is very, very uncensored.
We're in the real estate community. Trust me, we're dropping F-bombs. Love
it. It'll come.
That's all a different type of F chart, if you get what
There you go. Yeah.
So one of the things we met originally back at the New Media Summit, but all of us were icons of influence, got a chance to hang out, listen a little bit. We're on International Podcast Day together, some things like that as well. Yep. You guys are, like you say, you're big students of traffic, of helping people traffic after you go out and test the things yourself. What are some of the biggest things, and I'll start first with you, Matt, on this, since you're the one building a lot of that stuff. Some of the easiest things that entrepreneurs can really put together to get into the digital age, or things they can help drive traffic to their website or their product or things like that.
Yeah. So we teach a handful of traffic strategies. We have one sort of core strategy that we teach the most, and is what our newest book is all about as well. So we have a strategy we call the perpetual audience growth strategy. And essentially what it is you start with Google ads, Google search ads. And then once people view your content, you retarget those people with Facebook ads and Google Display Network ads and YouTube retargeting, and you retarget them everywhere. All right, so I'll unpack that a little bit more. So with the Google ads, you got to look at Google and Facebook and the intention of the two platforms. When somebody goes to Google and they search for, let's just use the real estate niche. If they search for homes in San Diego, there's a good chance they're looking to like purchase a house. Maybe they're in the market for it. Maybe they're, maybe they're a real estate agent and they're looking for new listings to show to their clients, whatever. They're looking for that information specifically. When somebody's going on Facebook and they're scrolling through their news feed, they're just trying to catch up with friends and family, right? They're just trying to see what other people are up to. They're not really in this buyer mode. They're not really there thinking, okay, I'm looking for something specific. But on Google, they are, right? So we think Google is the best cold traffic source to find people that are looking for what you offer. So we start with Google search ads. We tell everybody, go and build some Google search ads. Start with your brand name. If somebody was searching for the Note Closers show, run an ad to that. It'll be real cheap. You're the only person advertising on it probably. But it will always make sure you show up at the top. Nobody else is going to pass you on it because you're running an ad to it. But then other sort of keywords that people would search for that you want them to search for to find your business, you want to rank for those as well using Google ads. Send them to content. Once they've viewed content, then you use every other ad platform out there to retarget them so it looks like you're just everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Use one thing and repurpose it across the board for the most part if you can, huh?
Yeah. So the idea is once they search for something on Google and they read your content, then they've just sort of raised their hand and said, I am interested in finding help for this problem, right? And now that they've raised their hand and said, I need help with this problem, now all of a sudden they're seeing you everywhere. They think you're the biggest brand on the internet in that specific niche because now you're retargeting them all over the place.
Mm-hmm. Joe, you have anything you want to add to that, bud?
Yeah, no, it's well, I want to just clarify, like retargeting. A lot of folks don't really know what that is. So, the whole thing is if you can get someone to land on your website, no matter what kind of site you have, there's a little piece of code you could put in there. You can get from Google, Facebook, or other platforms that drops a little cookie on them. So, when someone visits, reads an article, that's typically the first touch that we like to have. Lead with value is what we're always talking about. Right. But you're also, like Matt said, you're getting folks to raise their hand and you're essentially tagging them so you can follow up with them later on these other platforms. So the kind of the big aha is you start with Google because they're very intent on a specific thing, pair it up with some content, and then now you're kind of everywhere to these people online, no matter where they're at. It looks like you're spending a ton of money on budget, but really it's like it could be $10 a day, $50 a day. And then you kind of work the math out and you're like, all right, what kind of profit margin do I have, when I'm closing notes, when you're selling a house or whatever. It's like, cool, I'll reinvest some of that in your ads, your content. And like you said, we have a lot of real estate folks actually in our training. And that's kind of the big aha. They're like, oh, okay. You just bring in these qualified eyeballs, either selling a house, they're buying a house. You can get both sides of it and then segment with content.
That's good stuff there. What do you think the biggest aha is, Joe? What do you think it is with people that are coming through some of your workshops and things like that? It's easier. They think it's more difficult than they think it is, or what other things do you guys hear?
The aha is that multi-platform approach. So that's what we call the omnipresence kind of approach. There is a lot of folks are just on Facebook. Like that's why Matt mentioned Facebook. So you hear all these run Facebook ads, run ad. And you're like, okay, that's cool, but don't just stay siloed in one place because that's not where everybody lives. They're not intending on taking an action really on Facebook. It's more of an appearance thing after the fact. It's a second, maybe a 10th touch down the line. So it's the big aha is showing people how to combine everything so they work together. So you have this perpetual follow-up system without you doing anything. Mm-hmm. And it makes you look like that big brand without spending a ton of money. It's minimal budgets. You can make some big impact.
I also think there's like a pretty common misconception that Google ads are very, very expensive. Everybody thinks like, okay, I'm going to use Facebook ads. Everybody's talking about Facebook ads. They're cheap. Man, we spend way more money per click on Facebook ads than we spend on Google ads. Mm-hmm. Google ads for us have been one of the cheapest sources of traffic that we have. So, I think a lot of people are just afraid of Google. They're scared to go run Google ads, and Facebook feels so much more approachable to people that everybody just wants to go with Facebook and say this is good enough and just use that. But man, once you sort of do this cross-channel, cross-platform advertising, all of a sudden you'll notice your costs just go way down. People start telling you, oh, you guys are everywhere. We're getting sales from all sorts of different platforms coming in. I think, you just got to not be scared to test other ad platforms, especially Google. Like it blows me away how many people are scared to go use Google.
Well, here's another thing. I mean, if you're looking at stats around the holiday season specifically, ad inventory on Facebook, for instance, is going to get a lot smaller because you have all these big companies with big budgets pushing their holiday specials, probably starting like right now. So right. If you can combine these multi-platforms, start with Google, that's what we like, because it's your highest chance of basically ROI immediately. It could be a lot of times, even if you're leading with content. But the cool thing with Google, another byproduct I wanted to say is SEO. You're literally getting yourself organically ranked inside of all these search engines. You're starting with ads, but you're targeting these keywords, and you're getting this data from Google. You have to buy a little bit of it to start, but you're getting some of the most valuable keywords that can, I don't know what the ROI could be in your space, in real estate, but it could be massive. And then you get the SEO rankings, and it's free traffic. You literally start climbing the ranks, and then like in your local area, wherever you're targeting, you are the top dog. Now you have ads plus another listing or a few on the front page.
What do you see as some of the best? I'm sorry, I didn't interrupt you. What was that last part?
It's just competition won't know what to do with you at that point.
Right. What would you say, from what you guys are seeing out there, besides ads, what's some of the best content that helps really drive that engagement? Is there anything special? Is video doing well, or is it short blogs or short videos? I mean, you guys have tested a variety of different things, but is it just dependent on kind of what the avatar is used to as well versus,
I would say test both. So we use both. We use video, we use audio, we use text. So with our Evergreen Profits brand, it's mostly podcast episodes. Most of the content we're driving people to is into podcast episodes. With a lot of the affiliate promotions that we're doing, we'll do a combination of video and text. We'll make a video about whatever product we're promoting, get the transcription of it, paste the transcription below the video, and now we got built-in SEO because of the transcription. So we use combinations. Joe and I have found for our Evergreen Profits brand the best the best medium to create content for us has been interviews and podcasts and things like that, because we're very consistent. We have a big network of people. It's very easy for us to crank out audio content, so that's what works for us. When we're promoting affiliate products, we mostly focus on promoting software products. So we'll make little demo videos of these software products. So if somebody says like, how do I do X with this software? Our article shows up explaining how to do that. Now we know that person's into this product, and we're going to go promote stuff to them.
That's good. So basically the how-tos or the FAQs a lot of times too. How do you use this for this specific thing? Okay.
Now you have to be careful, because we want to go after people who haven't bought the product yet. So if somebody is looking for a tutorial about how to do something that sort of implies they've already got it, we're not going to go after those people as heavily. But if somebody is asking, does this product do this? We'll say yes, and here's a tutorial on how to do it. So now we're the person that showed up when they searched for it, and we're also the person who taught them how to do the thing they're looking to do. And so we've just indoctrinated ourselves with them. We pixel them in. Now they're going to see us everywhere. We're going to be top of mind when they're ready to go buy that product.
That's smart, because that's what you want them to turn back to you to buy again and again. And I'm sure once you've sold somebody one time, it's often easy to sell them associated products or associated products, software, and things like that as well too, huh?
And the cool thing, what you're doing here with this whole, the more content you put out, you have a cool brand, you have these ads, and you're on different networks, you're creating like a moat around your business where once they're in there, it's this ecosystem we like to talk about all the time. You're literally creating your own little world that they interact in. So you can perpetually show them, even after they purchase something from you or opt in for a freebie or something, they can see your videos. They could see maybe some quick tips on Facebook, YouTube, wherever you want to show it. Like you said, it's that return buyers now. Like the hardest work is attracting the initial buyer. But from there, I mean, it's like just straight up profit. If you could just keep giving value, helping them out, and being there for them, it becomes easy.
Right. We one of the great things out there, we're affiliates we're from different things there too, but I think a lot of people don't know about the power of being an affiliate for an event or another educator or software, things like that. It can be kind of just a little bit profitable. You guys are pulling in 7 figures off your affiliate stuff, huh?
Oh yeah, and that's the biggest form of income for us, and it all leads with content, like Matt was saying. It's more into the podcast now, but we see content as a segmentation tool, like kind of I was explaining with the cooking, with retargeting. Is we'll have topics on all sorts of different things, but we have their cores, traffic, branding, we have tools for automation, things like that. Essentially, we're grabbing these tags and interests and following up with them based off of the content they're interacting with. So it's a perfect match.
And if you want to talk about aha moments, like an aha moment that we had, it's probably been a few years ago now, was this moment of we can actually capitalize on software businesses and information businesses, but not have to deal with customer support and actually building the business. This is pretty awesome. So we actually went down this like rabbit hole a good 3 years ago of let's just put all of our focus on ramping up the affiliate marketing, and then we just don't have to deal with support. We don't have to deal with creating products, and we don't have to deal with all the technical crap. Like, let's just purely be marketers. And that's what affiliate marketing has allowed us to do, is just purely experiment in the marketing world without having to deal with all the other crap that most business owners have to deal with.
You deal with the good, but the bad and the ugly can go back to those other guys, right?
Yeah. No, it's crazy, man, because I come from the world of like direct clients. I did a lot of design work. I did consulting, tons of face-to-face and virtual stuff. And, that's why the power of both of us together is like, we still have that, but now we leverage video and, obviously a lot more scalable means. But then with Matt, he's over here saying like, all right, let's be strategic and not like, let's not build out this big old team. We don't want to do support. We definitely provide great support prior to the sale, but after that, it's like, no, we don't fulfill the product, and we don't have to do the follow-up later.
Yeah, once we've got your money, we're done with you. We don't care about you anymore.
Not true.
Well, but yeah, I'm still. I mean, that's why you probably though test stuff out though, because I'm sure you probably got some chargebacks or people cancel back. That comes back towards
rarely.
A lot of times.
Yeah. There are some refunds and things like that on some of the software that we promote. And, there are downsides to affiliate marketing. You do lose an element of control, right? If the sales page of the final product is on somebody else's page, I can't control the copywriting. If once somebody buys, I want to have conversion pixels to know that somebody bought the product. I can't track sales as accurately as I'd like to. There are things like that with affiliate products that you don't really deal with your own products, but you just got to weigh the pros and cons. And, the not having to develop stuff and not having to deal with customer support, in my mind, is worth it. But, coming back to the previous comment, we actually, after somebody buys a product from us as an affiliate, we actually continue with that person as if we were the product creator. We actually continue to create training for them. We continue to we actually have members areas for every single product that we promote as an affiliate. So if somebody buys through our link, they get access to the specific members area associated with that product. And we will continue to create additional training for those members so that next time, if they're in the market for a different software, who's the first people they're going to think of to go grab it from?
Cross-sell. There you go.
Brilliant. Hang on a second. Hang on. Brilliant. Throw a little money.
I love it. Damn it, Matt. That's what we're forgetting. It's sound effects for our podcast.
I know. We have no sound effects. Other than Joe trying to
on Amazon.
To beatbox. Oh, that's awesome.
Dude, I love it. No,
Rudy Freeman wants my F box one. It's got 16 different ways to say the F word.
It reminds me of the soundboards back in the day. I don't know if you
I just got like 5 buttons I just press.
Yeah. Oh, I love it.
Is there an applause? Can we say something really good and then get an applause out of it? Perfect. It sounds like there was 3 people in the room applauding us.
Yeah, it sounds a whole lot more than 3. And then, of course, if you're going to say something important before you want to, we can always do this.
I love it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Well,
all right.
Another aha, though, that we noticed since teaching folks who don't want to take on affiliate marketing as like their number one thing. We just happen to kind of fall into it because we're like, oh, this fits us, But a lot of folks don't want to do that, it's a perfect bolt-on for any kind of business out there. So if someone's selling, houses, but maybe they want to sell some training to agents or whatever they want to do, but they don't want to do the training themselves. Maybe they want to refer that to another company. It's a perfect bolt-on for just the core stuff you're already doing. You might as well add some profit centers, because more or less you're doing people a disservice if they're asking for, if there's more value you can give them and they have your trust already, you might as well recommend something you trust and you can get behind.
That's a huge thing, is stuff that you trust. I think there are people out there that just try to sell everything, and sometimes there's crap, across any type of industry. I know that, and then there's also really quality things that like we do our regular webinars. We'll bring on somebody to talk about a class or a software that they use that I use. I'm like, oh yeah, hey, here's a software they use, and we get an affiliate split off of sales, and it's a win-win. But you've also got to know that product, make sure the person that you're promoting is going to deliver.
Totally.
We've had bad just asshats that didn't deliver sometimes too.
We've been there, man. But we test every product, anything we're promoting 100%. Yeah, we do our due diligence, and we actually create a lot of content around it. So we're not just like, try it out, hope for the best. Like, nah, that ain't cool.
Right. So where are you guys getting your inspiration from? Where are you guys finding your deals? What's the things that kind of get you excited about?
Matt, you want to go first?
Don't give away any secret, but I'm sure there's some.
Okay, so our podcast, quite honestly, we interview 2 people a week. So we release 8 episodes a month of our podcast. So every single week we're just getting all sorts of inputs of test this. And sometimes it can actually be overwhelming. Like everybody on our podcast, we're like, I love that idea, we need to test that. Next thing you know, we've got a pile of things that it's like that bookshelf behind me. There's probably 75% of them I haven't read yet. Well, I've got a pile of ideas from all of our podcast guests of things that I want to test out. So we're never at a shortage there, just because of how many conversations we have.
Yeah, I mean, we're just perpetual learners, and it's what's cool about the podcast specifically. That's Matt and I's favorite part of our business. It's essentially free consulting, because the people we're bringing on are folks we want to learn from selfishly. And we're the first ones to say that on the podcast. Like, we're ultra selfish about the podcast, but we make it fun for everybody listening. And we extract these details that most people I don't think would dig into, because we want to know these tactics.
That's some of the feedback we get the most often from people who listen to our show about why they like it. They're like, I like the fact that you're being selfish and asking questions for your business. You're not asking what you think the audience wants to hear. Because when you ask stuff that you think the audience wants to hear, those are the same questions that our guests have been asked 100 times on every other show they've been on. When we start going down these rabbit holes of like, I know you teach this over in this area and it has nothing to do with podcasting, but how can we tie this into our podcast somehow to grow it? Like, those are the kinds of deep discussions that you're not going to hear on any other podcast, because we're getting very specific about things that we want to solve in our business. And then the people that tune in, I think they find a lot of interest in us sort of going outside of the normal box of what these people would discuss.
Yeah, I saw that on some of the reviews on iTunes and stuff like that. People saying, "Hey, love it when you ask the questions."
Yeah,
but that's a beautiful thing. Nobody wants to go and hear the same thing over and over again. We want to, whether it's listening or watching, 30 minutes or 15 minutes or an hour is valuable. Valuable airtime for everybody.
Yeah.
Hey, whatever. If somebody's asking the same blasé question, that's great. Let's do a deep dive. Let's dive into a couple things out there that are really going to add value and can really change. I think we've all found special little things that just made a little adjustments or little things we added on our business that made a huge impact. And most of the time it just came from just sharing back and forth, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, one of the ways we describe our podcast to people, that at least in our own head, this is what we want it to be, is we talk about it as like the Joe Rogan podcast of business podcasts,
right?
Because we want to get our guests talking about things that they wouldn't talk about on any other show, that they've never discussed with anybody else before. And Joe and I are both big fans of the Joe Rogan podcast, so we actually do get some inspiration from that show, even though it's very, very, very rarely about business.
That it is.
That's where we want it to go, man. I mean, it's like, let's go deep, let's get real, and like leave the bullshit at the door. Like, we're gonna dig in, man, and that's where the aha came when we started doing that. Like, we lead with free content everywhere we go now. So we're going to give away our best stuff. And it all usually starts with the podcast first.
That's a beautiful thing. We've had I've had discussions with some of our peers in the note industry. The real estate industry has been around for 30 years, 40 years. We do it this way because this is the way it worked then. It still works now. And I'm like, well, we give a lot of content away, and they're like, well, that's the new realm. I don't know. I'm not necessarily comfortable with it. Like, well, you either get comfortable with it or you can be out of business hoarding all your information, right?
Totally. I mean, that was actually a transition in our business we made end of last year, was to completely make everything free, because it wasn't like we were just dumb and shut everything off. We were making money, affiliate revenue on the back end, but that's not so obvious when you're first, seeing our brand. And even now it's not obvious that we're selling our own books, products, all that stuff, is because you just see the free stuff. You're just like, what the hell do you sell? That's the common question that we get. And it's hard to explain our business, but once someone consumes a couple episodes, reads a few blogs, they're like, oh shit, this is good. I need this. Then they start buying everything. So it's like, if you can create a business around that, any space can do that. It's like a mind shift. You just have to get out of that like immediate sell gratification, old school mindset. And think like, hey, you're building this. You don't need a lot of customers to really create a massive business or a healthy business for yourself. It doesn't have to be huge, but treat them right. And
you totally treat them right. And I think back to one of the most influential books I read a few years back was What Would Google Do? And and how Google opened up their platform for a lot of developers to come on. They didn't hoard their APIs and things like that. They let people come on and develop things, and it made it a place where everybody came to find good stuff. So it helped drive Google's business up there. Yeah. And that's the same thing that you guys are doing. Hey, if you're looking for good quality content that we're going to deliver, and that we've tried to break it before we release it,
True.
You're going to trust us. You're going to buy through us. You're not going to care that we're making an affiliate split, because you're going to end up paying that same amount anywhere. And then you're also going to have support as we provide other, free content afterwards.
Yeah, that's it, man. I mean, that's literally our business in a nutshell. And it kind of blows us away, because even in our industry, the marketing space, where people give a lot of good value, they still don't take this kind of approach, and they think we're kind of crazy. We're like, yeah, we're good. It's less stress, man.
Yeah, I mean, to really sort of simplify our business model outside of the affiliate stuff, we give away a ton of content for free, but it's the content we decide that we want to put in front of you. Once you pay us, then you get to decide what content we put in front of you, because we're very, very interactive with our customers. We have forums, we have Facebook groups, we have, some of our higher paying clients have access to us via Voxer, which is like a walkie-talkie app. So we do a lot of stuff like that, which basically means that people, once they pay us, they basically get to control the conversation, where before you pay us, we're controlling the conversation.
But that's a valuable, very valuable feature of being able to listen in, to being able to see the issues they're having. And because if somebody's having it, I guarantee there's probably 10 people that aren't mentioning it that they're having that issue there, right?
Always. Yeah, and that's why we have the community. We're like, ask it there. Others are going to need it too. Everyone always has similar issues.
Yeah. Yep. What mistakes are you seeing, guys and gals out there producing? This is, is this having the wrong mentality behind it? Are you seeing people that are trying to make things overcomplicated? I'd love to hear from both of you. I'm sure you guys have definitely different, ideas on mistakes people are making.
Yeah. Do you want to start with that, Joe? Or
yeah, I'll go. I mean, I think overcomplicating actually is the number one thing.
Yeah, I think Joe and I are both going to agree on that one. Is people just want to overcomplicate things that don't need to be complicated.
Yeah. They're like, oh yeah, well, you're talking about Google as a good first start, but I've been hearing a lot of good stuff about Facebook video and all these. And how about YouTube or Twitter ads? I mean, might as well focus. Yeah. Just get really good at dedicate at least a month. I mean, you're not gonna lose. I'm gonna guarantee that. You are going to gain traction if you actually stick to the system and something that's actually been proven to work. And keep it simple. I mean, that's something that Matt has had to bang into my head over and over, because I just love to. I mean, we kind of both nerd out on ideas. We're like, what if we could do this? What? But you have to almost ask you these questions, where the hell am I actually going to go? How much time do I have? And yeah, how can I do stuff with less? I mean, I think that's the biggest part right there.
Yeah. Yeah. And, there was our buddy Brad Costanza, who's actually a business partner with us on another business that we run together in the beer niche, actually. But he has this concept that he talks about, and it's based on like something that Walt Disney used to do called the dreamer's room, the critic's room, and I think the doer's room.
I believe so.
I can't remember the last one. I know the first two are the dreamer's room and the critic's room, where and Joe and I have had to force ourselves to do this because one of my natural tendencies is when I hear new ideas, my brain automatically goes to, okay, what's wrong with that idea? Where can I poke holes in that idea? That's sort of my default mode. And so we have to force ourselves to get into these modalities of, okay, we're in the dreamer's room right now. Anything goes. Let's just write every stupid harebrained idea we can come up with down. Let's just let it all flow out. And then once we're kind of done with the dreamer's room, you step into the critic's room and you start saying, okay, now that we've got all these ideas, now let's start poking holes in them. And the ones that survive make it to the doer's room, right? So we've had to sort of force ourselves to do that because Joe and I were on the same, like Joe mentioned earlier, we're on the same wavelength with the trajectory and where we're eventually trying to get to. But sometimes we're not always on the same page with like the next step today, right? And so that's when we have to force ourselves into that sort of mode to go down. But I actually want to go back to your original question of what are some of the mistakes that you're seeing people make. There's two other real quick ones I was going to say. One is people are getting too caught up into Facebook ads and not wanting to expand out of Facebook ads. And Facebook ads can be really, really, really expensive if you don't know what you're doing. Like I know so many people that will say, okay, I'm going to go throw $20 a day at it. And 3 days later, they're out $60 and have no leads, no sales, nothing new from it. Right. So you've got to kind of figure out a system, a process that works. And for us, the system and process that works with Facebook is don't start with Facebook, start with Google, and then retarget the people that you already know have shown interest. That's sort of our mentality on Facebook. And then the other sort of mistake I see is, and Joe and I are both guilty of this too, is trying to do everything yourself. One of the things we've recently discovered, this might be a really cool resource for a lot of your listeners, is a site called GenM, GenM.co. And what that is a site where you can essentially hire interns for $50 a month. You pay GenM $50 a month. They have a giant database of interns, and all these interns are pre-trained with marketing expertise, SEO, advertising, social media management, things like that. GenM pre-trains them on the site. They go through some like qualification tests. You pay GenM $50 a month, and then you can go through their platform and sort of pick out team members to work in your business. And all you pay is $50 a month. What's that?
I saw Scott writing it down. I'm like, oh, that's a good one. There you go.
GenM as in like mastery.co.
Yep. Or if you want $10 off your first month, you can go to evergreenprofits.com/GenM.
Okay, we'll do that there. Evergreenprofits.
No, it's cool because it's virtual interns, and we legitimately leverage. I think we have 3 at the moment, and doing all sorts of different things that you would normally have to hire a bunch of other people for, writers or whatever.
Yeah. If you ever read our show notes for our podcast, that's written by an intern.
Yeah. It's rad, and it's a great resource no one knows about. So, here's one of the few places that have been talking about it right here.
That's phenomenal. That's, hang on a second. I think that deserves a. All right. And then I think the light just went off for a lot of people.
I love it, man.
Yep. And so in our actual training, in module 1. Oh, sorry.
Don't walk, run to Evergreen Profits.
Oh, nice.
I missed what you were saying. Sorry, I apologize. What were you saying?
Oh, I was just saying in our actual traffic training, in the very first module, we actually flat out say, don't try to do all this yourself. Go here because these people can help you do it.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. Do what you're good at. And it's, I had a coaching thing this weekend, and I said, listen, figure out what you want to make. What's your number for the next 12 months? Figure out what your hour is worth to you first and foremost. And then anything below that, outsource it. Find interns, find people that can do it for you because they do it a lot cheaper. Now you just cloned yourself basically to maximize your hour. I think we want to spend a little time digging into it, we all do things that are like below minimum wage jobs that we should not be doing, right, guys?
All the time, man.
Yep.
Dude, one of the big things that Matt and I have shifted in our business is to move to a 3-day-a-week work week, and take the Monday, take the Friday. It's not really taking it off. I mean, we're learning, we're meeting up with people. It's sort of like just get away from the computer, the office days.
Yeah.
And that really was sparked on exactly what you just said, is knowing our hourly rate, what's our worth, what do we want. And a little trick we've been, or at least I've been doing a little bit more of, is like, okay, if I only had like 3 hours a day to work, what would I do with all this list of shit that I got to get done, or I feel like I have to get done? But what are the things you can kill, automate, delete? There's all these things you could, or, you know, use interns for now. Like, we're taking a lot off our plate with that. So it's kind of creating a little box around your time will go a huge way. Like, we tracked a lot of our time for a few weeks. We were just figuring out, all right, what are the tasks that we just shouldn't be doing? And I think we tracked for 2 weeks. Matt and I both did, put the time spent and all that stuff. And we're like, wow, yeah, we're doing like 60% of the stuff, like 2/3 of our day is just shouldn't be done by us.
Yeah.
Or maybe not at all.
People that are really unorganized would probably really, really, really hate to be in business with me, because I'm like the most systematized person in the world. Like, I want to create a system around everything. Once something is done once, I want a system that is so it's duplicatable over and over and over again, that we could give it to somebody else to duplicate. So, you know, that's a big part of our business. Also, another aha, I think, for a lot of people is a lot of what we do with affiliate marketing and selling our own courses and the podcast is so well systematized that Joe and I barely touch any of it anymore. In fact, Joe forgets sometimes that podcasts are releasing. Like, people will come to him and be like, "Oh, I love that podcast you did with Scott Carson," and Joe will be like, "Oh, that one's out already? I didn't know. I had no idea when that one was coming out, but cool." You know, like, we just sort of lose track of stuff that's happening in our business because we have it so well systematized.
That is that's a valuable nugget right there. And I'm pulling up because we had people commenting on the episode here.
Nice.
Yeah, because there's an easy way to set reminders or time block your schedule. And if you can narrow it down to 3 days instead of 5 days, I think you become a lot more focused on being more productive in those 3 days. Are you guys finding that?
100%, man. Like, just tracking our time, just that alone for the 2 weeks, we were so careful with how we were spending our time because we knew we were putting ourselves under a microscope, and we were going to share it with others on our team as well, not just keep it to ourselves. So it was this whole big accountability play.
This is my time tracking of every little thing that I did for like weeks straight.
Yeah.
And like, some of them are like, this took me 2 minutes. This took me 30 seconds. This took me 4 minutes. If I have stuff on my list that only takes me 2 minutes, there's no reason I can't outsource that to an intern or somebody in the Philippines.
Hell yeah.
Ching. Yeah, hang on a second. Let me grab that again there. Hang on there. The valuable up there. So that's the thing. There's so many great places. I mean, especially, the Philippines, people working for $3 to $4 an hour. Yeah. Cost of living is a lot cheaper. You know, they get, you have, and that's, I think, so many entrepreneurs are control freaks. Yeah. They have to touch everything because they can't give stuff up. It has to be perfect. I'm like, I think we all agree here. It's never going to be perfect immediately when you turn it over to somebody initially, for the most part. You've got to spend that time coaching them, giving feedback so that they get better over 30 days or 60 days to close to where you need to be. And, I found that we've, spent more time on, sometimes they come back better than what you expect.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, there's like that little hump period. Maybe it's like a week or two that you're like, oh man, all right. But then, you give them the feedback. We do this whole thing of, we give them feedback, but then send it to them. And then eventually what we get them to do is have them screen record their own work and then give themselves their own feedback, or maybe say what they're doing. So they're kind of ingraining it more. Yeah. And then they pass that to us so we can then give them feedback on their feedback. It's like, it's more of this ownership thing that
it's the whole I do, we do, you do thing. That's something like I got from a buddy, James Schramko. He basically, when you're training somebody, you get on a call just like this. We get on Zoom and we'll get on a call and I will do it with the person. So I will flat out walk them through it, do it all myself. They can sit there and watch and just see how I do things. That's the I do. Second phase is the we do. Next time I'm getting on a call, I'm going to go through it again. This time they're asking questions, they're interacting, they're going back and forth. We're kind of collaboratively making decisions. The third time around, you do it. I'm going to get on a call with you. We'll do it over Zoom, but I'm just going to sit back and watch. And if I notice you're making a mistake, I'll point it out, but I'm going to sit back and make sure you're doing things. After that third time around, you're on your own.
Yeah. Yeah, a good resource for all this stuff that kind of really got our head in this is Clockwork by Mike Michalowicz. We had him on our show, and he actually sent us the book like before it was released. He just randomly actually bought an affiliate product from us, and we noticed his name on the transaction list. We're like, oh shit, we should probably reach out to him. and he responded. But that book totally breaks down like the SOP type stuff that we do. Like, all right, let's put documentation to everything we do that's repetitive. And the whole goal in that book is like, all right, when you're done with this, I think it's like 18 months or something, a year and a half, you can go away for a month or longer. Like that's the goal, that you will leave your business. It will be running like clockwork when you're gone. And like you said, Scott, probably making more money when you're gone. You hear that all the time from business owners.
Yeah, that's when you really know. We early this morning, we had a buddy of mine, Aaron Young, with Lawful Associates, who loves to talk about unshackling yourself from your business, not being shackled to having to be the person to make sure the lights are on or off. And that's when you are really a business owner versus being a what's the word I like to be versus being solo employed or being an employee, right?
Yeah, man.
We got some comments here from people out here. Stephanie Lahart with Boomtown Marketing says, this is excellent advice, and I fully agree. Nice. Golden Nugget, they love the Gen M out there as well. That's good stuff out there.
Nice.
Question for you guys. With 2019 coming up, are there any must-attend events that you've got circled on the calendar to attend that you guys go to on a regular basis?
Yep. So every year we go to Traffic and Conversion Summit. It's in San Diego. We're in San Diego. So, we've been there every year. Roland Frazier, one of the guys that puts it on, we're in a mastermind with him. So, we feel guilty if we don't show up.
Yeah, trust me. And I've known Roland for years. It's the same thing. That's one of the first things that we put on our calendar. It's one of them. I mean, what do they have? 8,000 plus people.
It's something like that.
It's insane. It's bigger every year than the last. And Joe and I have been to every single one since the very first one in Texas. Yeah. So that's sort of our business tradition is we get to that event. We call it Internet Marketing Summer Camp because it's like our one time a year where we reunite with all of our buddies that we only see once a year.
Hey, if you go, like Scott, it sounds like you're coming. So we always hold a beer event as well. So somehow in the middle of that time, I think it's like usually on like a Wednesday or something. We'll hold a beer event where we gather a bunch of folks together, and we try to do that. So that's a must attend too. It's called
the date. Yeah, that's the February 25th through the 27th or 28th, something like that this year around, I think, or the 26th or the 28th. I've got days in front and behind it because I plan on, arrive early, hang out, network, and then obviously have some beer.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we put on a big networking event every single year at TNC at a brewery that's, I don't know, maybe 3/4 of a mile to a mile away from the event. Yeah. It's a nice little bird scooter ride away, right? So we always put on an event there at a brewery. We work with breweries to basically get them capacity on a night when it would normally be dead, and we throw a giant party there, and we put 500 people in the place, and they love us, so they keep on asking us to do it every year. So that event is a must attend. The other one that we've never been to, but we're actually talking about attending in 2019 is Podcast Movement. Mm-hmm. That's one that we've heard a lot of good things about. We're getting more and more entrenched in the podcasting world. We're getting to know more and more podcasters. So everybody kind of compares that one to like the Traffic and Conversion Summit of podcasting. So we're hoping to get out to that one next year in Orlando.
We haven't really, New Media Summit's a great one. So if you're looking to get on podcasts, I think that's in February.
Yeah. New Media Summit's the 21st through the 23rd of February. Podcast Movement is like in August. I don't have it on my calendar yet. I would also, if you guys are looking at, I've been to both Podcast Movement, enjoyable, but I really got more out of Podfest in Orlando, actually.
Oh, okay.
And that's been around, this will be the 5th year they do it. It's March 7th, 8th, and 9th out in Orlando. 700, 800 people. It's not as big as Podcast Movement, but I think the value is even more. There's a lot more opportunity making, a lot more connections. Chris Christosis that puts it on, puts everybody in round tables and forces you to network the first night there. So you're networking.
Love it.
Chance to really network there. So it's I would recommend Podfest. It's a little bit earlier in the year.
Yeah.
And then podcast maybe later in the year. I know what you guys are doing, growing stuff like that. I think you get value to both. I like both as well too. So
cool. Yeah.
I mean,
other than that,
really,
I mean, we haven't really been going to a lot of conferences lately. We've been like trying to just put on the blinders. We talked to a lot of people already.
We tend to go to a lot of smaller group mastermind type things. So people will invite us, and it'll be a group of like 15 instead of like the bigger conferences. We tend to try to get to more things like that are a little more intimate. But there are a couple that we do want to try to get out to every time they come around.
Mm-hmm. Are you guys going to be back out at New Media Summit this in February as well?
Not this year. It's falling right on the time of my wife's birthday. So can't do that, man.
Falls on my daughter's birthday. Falls on my daughter's birthday, which I think is 2 days apart from Joe's wife's birthday. So
that's true.
You don't want to mess the women off in your life, guys.
The next time when it's in San Diego, it'll be a no-brainer for us.
There you go. Exactly. You can be home in time to party.
Exactly.
You guys have done something cool. You put a lot of work into a book recently that you launched here a couple of weeks ago as well, too. Why don't you take a few minutes to share that out there?
Yeah. So it's called the Evergreen Traffic Playbook, and it's a little freebie book that we're giving out. Yeah, digital version's free. And you can actually go get that at evergreenprofits.com/note-closer. And not plural, so closer. But yeah, that book lines out a lot of what we've been talking about. So the omnipresent stuff, the way that we use content with Google and how that relates to Facebook. So how it all kind of interconnects. It's a good way to, after you listen to this, now you're kind of starting to see the connections. You can go a lot deeper with that book.
Yeah. The book probably explains it a little more succinctly than we did, like on the conversation. So the traffic strategy that uses Google and then retargets them everywhere. There's some SEO mixed in. That whole strategy is mapped out in the book. And then also, we've done hundreds of podcast interviews over the years, and we've pulled out nuggets of wisdom around traffic from a lot of the people that we've interviewed, and that stuff's also in the book. So it's our traffic strategy plus like a sort of curated half of a book around other people's traffic strategies as well.
Yeah, it's good stuff. It's really good stuff out there. Yeah. Once again, everybody can go to evergreentraffic.com/
evergreenprofits.com.
Sorry, I'll just shut up. So you say it again.
evergreenprofits.com/note-closer.
That's it. Profits.com/note-closer, everybody. Take advantage of that great stuff out there, not only from Joe and Matt, but also from some of the pros that they've had on their podcast out there with some great tips and advice. And literally, if you spend an hour with Roland Frazier, you're going to walk out with a dozen things with mind blown, right? I know he's one of your favorite episodes you guys have, and he's, one of the brightest guys that we know out there, help out a lot of things that we've done.
He totally is, man. Yeah.
He's your most downloaded episode ever.
Yeah.
Well, I was listening to you guys talk about your anniversary. You guys just celebrated an anniversary, right? Recent 100 episodes.
100 episodes, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think 113 just came out today. So we did 100 episodes 13 episodes ago. And we released, when we hit episode 100, we actually upped our frequency to twice a week. Before that, we were releasing that once a week.
Oh, yeah. Just expect in 2019, the goal is to just focus solely on podcasting, where everything we're doing now, we're talking about SOPs. That's just to get us away from doing the other stuff that we don't want to really do anymore. We're educators. We want to do more stuff like we're doing right now, hop on other shows, and maybe even up the frequency of our show another day or so per week.
Good stuff, guys. Hey, man, I'm going to let you guys go. We're coming up to an hour. We could spend hours talking about strategy. We'll definitely have to do that around a few beers.
We will.
And we'll have to get a round 2 going with you on our show as well. Talk about note closing, and I also want to hear more about your Facebook Live strategies as well, because Facebook Live is not really something we do a lot of, but plan to.
I'm glad to share some nuggets with you guys out there in your audience for sure. Be honored to be on. So
that'd be fun.
Cool, guys. Well, hey, what's the best way for people to reach out to you? Just go to the website.
Yep. Yeah, go to that site.
.com/note-closer. That'll get you into our ecosystem. You may start seeing some retargeting from us. Who knows?
Hey, great way to learn. See how we're in action, right?
So, you go to that site, you'll see us. We'll be hard to get rid of once you kind of enter our ecosystem.
There you go.
Good stuff,
Thanks,
guys.
everybody.
Well, hey, man, thanks for taking time in your very busy schedule. We look forward to you guys' growth and success here in the new year. And thanks so much for sharing some great nuggets and sharing with our audience out there as well.
Awesome.
You're welcome, Scott. Thanks for having us, man.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank
See
you.
ya.
All right, guys. Hey, that's going to wrap it up for this episode of the Note Close Show. Like Joe and Matt said, check out the link there. Go to their website, check it out. You're going to learn some great things. And if you're in San Diego come February, you might just end up with an invite to it and get a beer or two out there as well. Just nothing wrong with a little bit of suds and buds, and we'll go from there. So.
True story all around.
That's right, baby. All right, guys. We'll see you all at the top. Bye.
See you guys.